Mr Green. Mr Mackerras.
Section 7 of the Australian Constitution commands that, quote, the Senate shall be composed of senators for each state, directly chosen by the people of the state, voting as one electorate, unquote. Section 24 deals with the House of Representatives. Members there are also commanded to be, quote, directly chosen by the people, unquote. These provisions mean that the electoral system for all our federal politicians must be candidate-based. The Commonwealth Electoral Amendment Bill, as it now stands, is breathtaking in its contempt for the Australian Constitution. It is a bad bill. It should be withdrawn and redrafted to bring it fully back to comply with the Constitution. All three contrivances introduced in 1984 must be scrapped. Any suggestion that the contrivances should be cherry-picked merely to suit the convenience of three big political parties, one big independent senator or the Australian Electoral Commission must be resisted. If any of the above is not implemented, it would be the duty of a senator to take the matter to the High Court the day after the Governor-General signed assent. I am confident such will happen. If that challenge fails, I would be devastated. I would no longer be able to say that our senators are directly elected by the people. Who would I blame? In the first place, I would blame the arrogance of Dr. Evatt and the Labor Party in 1948. In the second place, I would blame the bloody-mindedness of the Liberal Party in 1974, 1975 and 1983. In the third place, I would blame the filthy 2016 deal between the Liberal Party, brackets, led by the unelected dud Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, and the Greens, that party noted for its moral vanity. For the past 2 years, I have been urging the Labor Party to withdraw from the effective big party conspiracy represented by the Joint Standing Committee report of May 2014. I am pleased they have now done that. So, 2 cheers for Bill Shorten and his caucus. I wish I could have said 3 cheers for Labor, but I cannot. To my friend Gary Gray, I thank him for giving me his How to Vote Labor in Brand slip, which I attended to the committee today. I regret his decision to spit the dummy in his speech last Wednesday. I tendered to the committee a Tasmanian state ballot paper which shows what a half-Senate election ballot paper would look like in principle under a decent reform. Such a Senate ballot paper would say on the top, number the boxes from 1 to, here insert the number of candidates in order of your choice. On the bottom of the ballot paper would say, your vote will not count unless you number at least 6 boxes. I illustrate a How to Vote Labor slip by showing on one side, coloured, the actual flyers handed out in the division of Brand. On the other side, I show what it might have looked like under a decent reform. If asked, I shall explain to the committee how I constructed the black and white side of the flyer. In the program today, I'm shown as not having made a submission. However, I've chosen an alternative. Last Thursday, I sent to the committee a 23-page document describing my writings since the 2013 election. On page 18, I quote from an article by Crispin Hull, a respected commentator of the Canberra Times. That article is so important to my case, I have decided to give you a full copy of the article. I look forward to the inevitable High Court case with both fear and delight. My fear is that the court will use the precedent of Mackenzie to give the okay to a rotten piece of legislation. My delight is at the prospect of the court striking down the enactment and telling the grubby politicians how to enact a decent reform. Think of that. The politicians really would be able to sell the reform as legitimate in that circumstance. Quote, we did this because the High Court told us to, unquote, would replace the current spin of, quote, a parliamentary committee unanimously told us to do this, ... and we waited 2 years before we decided to rush it through, end of quote.
Thank you, Mr Mackerras. I would note that your submission has been published as of last